Before we start, just a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. Only 2% are subscribers. At 1,000 subscribers, I'll be posting a special video. Commander Zorath of the Trellic Empire had never set foot on a planet like Earth. His arrival was met with a spectacle of flashing cameras and a crowd dotted with uniforms from various branches of the human military. The air was thick with anticipation and the hum of whispered conversations. Zorath stepped off his sleek shuttle, his towering frame draped in the shimmering ceremonial armor of his people, a stark contrast to the crisp, simple lines of the human military dress. The reception committee approached, led by General Avery, the head of the academy. With a practiced smile and firm handshake, an interaction Zorath had rehearsed many times, he greeted the human commander. "Welcome to Earth, Commander Zorath. We hope your stay at the Westridge Military Academy will be enlightening." As they walked through the sprawling campus, Zorath's eyes darted around, taking in the orderly lines of buildings and the green expanses dotted with cadets in various stages of training. The architecture was a mix of ancient stone structures and modern steel and glass facilities, each reflecting a different era of Earth's military history. It was a stark reminder of how deeply tradition and progress intertwined here. General Avery led him past a group of cadets engaged in a rigorous hand-to-hand combat drill. "Our cadets are trained to excel in both physical and mental challenges," she explained. Zorath noted the intensity in the cadets' eyes, their movements both disciplined and brutal. It was a raw, physical manifestation of war, quite unlike the strategic and technologically driven approach of the Trellic military. Their tour continued to the Advanced Simulation Center, a crown jewel of the academy. Here, cadets faced scenarios ranging from tactical ground operations to large-scale interstellar warfare, General Avery boasted, as she showed Zorath the control room filled with holographic maps and live data feeds. The screens flickered with images of cadets navigating complex battle simulations, their faces set in focused determination. Zorath was led through a hall decorated with banners showcasing distinguished alumni and historic battles. He felt a pang of unease. Each banner told a story of survival, innovation, and victory against overwhelming odds. It was clear that these humans didn't just learn about war, they were bred in its furnace. The first day concluded with a welcome banquet in Zorath's honor. As he sat at the high table, flanked by academy officials, he listened to speeches that praised the strength and valor of the Trellic Empire. But the pleasantries did little to ease his growing apprehension. He was far from his fleet, surrounded by a species whose capabilities he was only beginning to grasp, and every hour that passed drew him deeper into the intricacies of human warfare. As the sun set over the academy, casting long shadows across the parade ground, Zorath retired to his quarters, a meticulously arranged guest suite overlooking the training fields. The day's observations swirled in his mind as he stood at the window, watching cadets extinguish the last of the lights below. Humanity, he realized, was both fascinating and formidable, and for the first time since his arrival, Zorath felt a twinge of doubt creep into his thoughts about the days to come. The morning after his arrival, Commander Zorath was awakened early by the crisp cadence of a marching platoon outside his window. As he watched the cadets move in perfect synchronization, their boots thumping against the pavement in a rhythmic beat, he felt a curious mix of admiration and wariness. The discipline was palpable, a vivid display of unity and precision that seemed to pulse with the heartbeat of the academy itself. After a quick breakfast of unfamiliar but meticulously prepared Earth cuisine, Zorath met with General Avery once again. Today, she was dressed in field attire, her demeanor more relaxed but no less commanding. "We've arranged a variety of activities for you, Commander. You'll get to see our cadets in both theoretical and practical settings. Let's begin." Their first stop was the aerospace engineering facility. Zorath, whose own background included extensive training in starship operations, was keen to understand how humans approach space warfare technology. Inside the facility, the air was alive with the hum of machinery and the sharp scent of ionized metal. Cadets and instructors moved among models of spacecraft and propulsion systems, engaged in animated discussions or focused intently on complex diagrams. A young cadet, noticing Zorath's interest, approached and offered to explain her project, a new type of propulsion engine designed for rapid maneuvers in zero-gravity combat. As she spoke, her enthusiasm was evident, and her knowledge impressive. Zorath listened, nodding thoughtfully, but inside his apprehension grew. The innovation and speed at which humans adapted technology for warfare were unlike anything he had anticipated. From engineering, they moved to the combat theory class. Here, Zorath expected the familiar comfort of military strategy, something he could relate to from his own training. However, the class was far from what he envisioned. The instructor, a seasoned veteran with scars mapping his face, was discussing asymmetric warfare, focusing on historical human battles where ingenuity had turned the tide against seemingly unbeatable odds. The students debated various strategies, analyzing and proposing modifications to traditional tactics that incorporated both technology and psychology. Zorath felt a chill as he listened to a quiet, intense debate about exploiting enemy weaknesses. The human's capacity to think several steps ahead, to anticipate and manipulate, was both a strategic asset and a stark reminder of their potential lethality in warfare. As they walked to their next destination, General Avery remarked casually, "Our cadets learn to think like the enemy. It helps them understand and predict behaviors which can be crucial in combat." Zorath glanced at her, his mind racing. The implications of such training were profound. These cadets were not just being trained in warfare, they were being sculpted into warriors capable of dominating in any environment, against any foe. The morning concluded at the physical training grounds. Here, cadets were engaged in what appeared to be an advanced survival training exercise. They navigated obstacle courses laden with hazards that simulated battlefield conditions, from live fire exercises to chemical hazard scenarios. Zorath watched a group overcome a particularly difficult obstacle involving a complex puzzle under physical duress, their bodies slick with sweat, but their expressions resolute. General Avery smiled proudly. "Physical and mental resilience, Commander, essential for every cadet and crucial for every soldier." As the tour moved on, Zorath's initial sense of unease solidified into a profound awareness. The human cadets were not just training to fight, they were training to win at all costs, and for the first time, the commander of the Trellic Empire truly understood the depth of human capability and the spirit that drove them. This revelation, though silently acknowledged, would echo loudly in the decisions he would soon have to make. The following day at Westridge Military Academy began with a brisk walk to the state-of-the-art simulation center, a facility that had piqued Commander Zorath's interest since his arrival. General Avery explained as they approached, "Our simulators are designed to provide as close to real-life experiences as possible. They help our cadets prepare for any situation they might encounter on the battlefield, from urban warfare to interstellar combat." Inside the center, the air was charged with an electric anticipation. Screens lined the walls, displaying different terrains and scenarios. Zorath observed a group of cadets gearing up for a session. They wore virtual reality helmets and carried modified rifles, preparing to enter a simulated environment that replicated a hostile urban setting. General Avery led Zorath to a viewing platform overlooking one of the larger simulation rooms. "You'll find this interesting, Commander," she said, as she handed him a set of headphones and a virtual observation visor. "You can follow along from the perspective of any cadet inside the simulation." As the exercise commenced, Zorath chose to view the world through the eyes of a cadet who had impressed him the previous day with her sharp tactical insights. The environment was a dilapidated cityscape at dusk, providing ample shadows and cover. The objective was clear: navigate through the city, neutralize threats, and secure a designated extraction point. Almost immediately, the cadets were ambushed by enemy snipers, hidden within the buildings. Chaos erupted as they sought cover. Zorath, observing through the eyes of the cadet, felt his pulse quicken. The sounds of gunfire and shouts filled his ears, and he could almost smell the acrid scent of smoke and dust. The cadets quickly regrouped and began to counter the ambush. They communicated efficiently, using hand signals and short, clear commands. Zorath watched as the cadet he was following took a leadership role, directing her squad with a calm authority that belied her youth. As the scenario progressed, Zorath observed the cadets adapting to each new challenge with remarkable agility and creativity. They used drones to scout ahead and improvised explosive devices to create diversions. Every move was calculated, every decision deliberate. It was a level of adaptability and resourcefulness that Zorath had rarely seen in his own military. The exercise reached its climax when the cadets reached the extraction point, only to find it compromised. They quickly formulated a new plan, setting up defensive positions and calling in simulated air support. The cadet Zorath was following demonstrated profound situational awareness, adjusting her team's strategy in real time to respond to the evolving threat. When the simulation ended, the cadets removed their helmets, sweaty and breathing hard, but exhilarated by their performance. General Avery turned to Zorath, her eyes gleaming with pride. "What you witnessed, Commander, is the essence of our training. We prepare them for the unpredictable, teaching them to think on their feet and stay one step ahead of their enemies." As they left the simulation center, Zorath was silent, deep in thought. The level of realism and intensity of the training was unlike anything in the Trellick military's regimen. It wasn't just the technology that made these exercises so effective. It was the human element, the unpredictable creativity of the cadets that left him both impressed and profoundly unsettled. The fear that had begun as a seed of doubt was now a growing certainty. In the theater of war, these humans could outmaneuver and outthink an adversary in ways he had never considered possible. The next part of Zorath's visit to the Westridge Military Academy brought him to the expansive physical training fields, where he was invited to observe a grueling session designed to push cadets to their physical limits. General Avery, always keen to showcase the breadth and depth of the Academy's training programs, explained, "Physical prowess is as critical as mental acuity in battle. Today, you'll see just how demanding our regimen can be." As they arrived at the training grounds, Zorath was struck by the sprawling obstacle courses and the cacophony of shouts and grunts that filled the air. Cadets were midway through what appeared to be an exceptionally strenuous circuit, involving everything from weighted runs to climbing walls and deep water navigation. The intensity of the exercise was palpable, each cadet pushing their physical boundaries under the watchful eyes of their instructors. Zorath and General Avery walked along the side of the obstacle course, observing a group struggling through a particularly challenging section where they had to carry heavy sandbags over a series of barriers. Despite their obvious exhaustion, the cadets' faces bore expressions of determination and focus. Zorath noted the meticulous attention to form and technique, even under extreme stress, a testament to their rigorous training. Impressed by the physical endurance on display, Zorath commented, "Your cadets are remarkably resilient, General. In the Trellick forces, we rely heavily on technology to enhance our capabilities. It seems humans depend more on raw physical strength and endurance." General Avery nodded, a slight smile playing on her lips. "We do rely on technology, but we also believe in the power of human spirit and determination. Our cadets must be prepared to face any situation, with or without technological aid. It's about being adaptable and resourceful, no matter the circumstances." They moved to another area, where a group of cadets was engaged in hand-to-hand combat training. Here, Zorath saw a different kind of intensity, one that was less about endurance and more about technique and control. Two cadets squared off in a sparring match, their movements sharp and precise. Each strike and counterstrike was executed with deliberate intent, as they were evaluated not just for their physical ability, but for their understanding of close-quarters combat tactics. General Avery explained, "Combat training isn't just about fighting. It's about understanding your opponent, predicting their moves, and being 2 steps ahead. It's a dance, Commander, where rhythm and awareness are just as important as strength." Zorath watched, fascinated as the sparring cadets demonstrated not only physical skill, but also a deep psychological understanding of combat. Their ability to read and react to subtle cues was something Zorath hadn't fully appreciated in human fighters before. As the session ended, the cadets gathered for a debrief with their instructor, who emphasized the importance of mental resilience in overcoming physical challenges. Zorath reflected on his own military training, where such an equal emphasis on physical and psychological conditioning was less pronounced. Walking back to the main building, Zorath felt a mix of respect and unease churn within him. The human cadets had showcased not just their strength and endurance, but a profound capacity for pain tolerance and mental toughness. He realized that in a direct confrontation, The sheer willpower of these young humans could rival the advanced technologies of the Trellic Empire. The day's observations added another layer to his growing apprehension about the potential of humanity in warfare. The combination of human physicality, adaptability, and tactical acumen was beginning to paint a daunting picture of what his own soldiers might face if ever they went to war against Earth. As he retired to his quarters that evening, Zorath couldn't shake off the feeling that there was still much more to learn and fear about these formidable beings. The following day at the Westridge Military Academy was dedicated to strategy and tactics, areas where Commander Zorath felt he might find more familiar ground. General Avery escorted him to one of the Academy's strategy halls, a vast room lined with digital maps and holographic displays of various battle scenarios. "This is where cadets learn the art of war from a strategic standpoint," General Avery explained as they took their seats in a tiered classroom filled with cadets who were busy setting up their stations for today's session. Today, they're working on adapting historical battle strategies to modern warfare contexts, using both terrestrial and interstellar examples. The class began with a review of a famous naval battle from human history. The instructor, a sharply dressed officer with a keen eye for detail, outlined the original conditions and tactics used during the battle. The cadets were then asked to propose modifications to these tactics, taking into account modern technology and the potential involvement of alien forces. Zorath watched, intrigued, as one cadet suggested the integration of unmanned drones for reconnaissance, replacing traditional manned scout ships. Another proposed the use of cyber warfare to disrupt enemy communications before a physical strike. Each suggestion was debated vigorously by the group, with the instructor guiding the discussion to encourage critical thinking and innovation. The focus shifted to a simulation of a space battle scenario. Cadets were divided into teams, each assigned to command a fleet with specific resources and objectives. Zorath was given the opportunity to observe the simulation from a control room, where he could see each team's moves and strategies unfold in real time on large screens. As the simulation progressed, it became evident that human military training emphasized flexibility and the ability to think under pressure. Teams quickly adapted to sudden changes in the battlefield conditions, employing deceptive maneuvers and forming unexpected alliances. The use of psychological tactics to mislead opponents about their true strength and intentions particularly caught Zorath's attention. He noted how human cadets excelled in the psychological aspects of warfare, a skill that was less developed in his own military's doctrine. General Avery, noticing Zorath's interest, commented, "We teach our cadets that sometimes the battlefield is not just the ground or space where the war is fought, but the minds of their opponents. Winning there can determine the outcome before a shot is even fired." The session ended with a debrief where cadets discussed what strategies worked, which didn't, and how they could be improved. The instructor praised the innovative thinking and adaptability the cadets had shown, emphasizing that these qualities were crucial in facing an unpredictable and ever-changing array of enemies. As they left the classroom, Zorath felt a mixture of respect and concern. The human approach to military strategy was not just about strength and technology, but also deeply embedded in psychological manipulation and adaptability. This realization made him reconsider the potential of human forces as strategic planners and not just tactical soldiers. Walking through the Academy's grounds, Zorath was quiet, lost in thought. The creativity and ingenuity of the human cadets in adapting ancient tactics to modern and futuristic warfare had impressed him, but also deepened his unease. The Trellic Empire, with its rigid and hierarchical command structure, might not be as flexible in real-time battle conditions. This day had shown him that in a potential conflict, the human strategic depth and adaptability could very well surpass the technological advantages of his own people. As part of his ongoing exploration of human military capabilities, Commander Zorath was next scheduled to witness a live field exercise. This exercise was designed to test the cadets' ability to operate in a coordinated manner under realistic combat conditions. General Avery led him to an observation area overlooking a large open field dotted with makeshift bunkers and barriers. "Today, you'll see our cadets put everything they've learned into action," General Avery explained as they settled into their observation posts. "This exercise simulates an enemy ambush. The cadets' objective is to extricate themselves effectively while maintaining unit cohesion and completing their mission. The exercise began at dawn. The cadets, unaware of when or where the ambush would occur, patrolled the area in formation. The tension was palpable even from a distance, as they moved with heightened alertness, their eyes scanning the surroundings for any sign of threat. Suddenly, explosions rocked the ground near the front of the formation, throwing dirt and smoke into the air. It was the signal for the ambush. Hidden instructors acting as enemy forces opened fire with blank rounds, adding to the chaos and confusion. Zorath watched intently as the cadets quickly reacted. They dispersed with practiced precision, seeking cover and returning fire. Communication lines buzzed as they coordinated their movements, calling out positions and directing fire support. Zorath was impressed by their calm amid chaos, a stark contrast to the initial shock of the ambush. One squad, isolated from the rest by a smokescreen, particularly caught Zorath's eye. Despite being cut off, the squad's leader, a young cadet named Hansen, showed remarkable leadership. Using hand signals and short, clear commands, he reorganized his team, directing them to flank the enemy positions, while another team provided suppressing fire. The cadets gradually gained control of the situation. Utilizing drones for aerial surveillance, they identified key enemy positions and deployed their resources efficiently. Snipers took position in elevated spots, picking off enemy targets one by one, while other teams maneuvered to encircle the instructors. As the exercise drew to a close, the cadets regrouped and assessed their performance. General Avery and Zorath joined them on the field for the debrief. The instructor in charge praised their ability to adapt quickly, maintain discipline under fire, and exploit the terrain to their advantage. Today you saw firsthand how our training prepares cadets not just to respond to threats, but to anticipate and neutralize them, General Avery said to Zorath as they walked back. It's about making split-second decisions that could mean the difference between victory and defeat. Zorath nodded, deeply affected by what he had witnessed. The human cadets had not only survived the ambush, but had turned the tables on their attackers with a series of calculated maneuvers that showcased their strategic thinking and combat skills. The display of teamwork and tactical acumen was unlike anything he had seen in the Trellick military, where operations were often more rigid and less adaptive. As they left the field, the depth of human military training was clearer to Zorath than ever before. He was beginning to understand that the flexibility and resourcefulness of these cadets in live combat scenarios could pose a significant challenge to any adversary, including his own people. This realization added another layer to his growing respect and fear of the potential threat humans could represent in the wider galaxy. After several intense days immersed in the military aspects of the Westridge Military Academy, General Avery decided it was time for Commander Zorath to experience a different side of human life, its culture. It's important to understand not just how we fight, but who we are fighting for and what drives us, she explained as they prepared to spend a day off campus. The excursion began in a bustling urban center, a stark contrast to the disciplined and regimented environment of the military academy. Zorath observed civilians of all ages engaging in daily activities, their interactions marked by casual friendliness and a sense of community that was new to him. They visited a popular market where vendors sold everything from fresh produce to artisan crafts. Zorath was struck by the diversity of goods and the vibrancy of human interactions, a lively exchange of banter and bargaining. Lunch was at a small family-owned restaurant known for its traditional cuisine. Here, Zorath experienced the array of flavors that human food could offer, from spicy to savory, each dish telling a story of regional and cultural heritage. The cadets who accompanied them shared stories about their lives before the academy, their families, and their reasons for joining the military. It was evident that their motivations were deeply personal and often rooted in a sense of duty to protect these very aspects of human life. In the afternoon, they attended a local sports event, a community football game that brought together people from all walks of life. Zorath watched as fans cheered passionately for their teams, displaying a camaraderie and spirit that echoed the teamwork he'd seen at the academy, but in a completely non-military context. The enthusiasm was contagious, and for a moment, Zorath felt a part of this human experience, cheering along with General Avery and the cadets. The day concluded with a visit to a cultural center where a local history exhibit was on display. As they walked through the exhibit, Zorath learned about the region's past, from ancient times through various conflicts to the modern era. The resilience of humans, their ability to rebuild and thrive after adversity, was a recurring theme. He was particularly moved by a section dedicated to peace efforts and the role of diplomacy in resolving conflicts. Throughout the day, Zorath was continuously impressed by the strength of human connections and the depth of their emotional and psychological resilience. The laughter, joy, and sometimes sorrow he observed revealed a complexity to human life that went beyond what any military training could explain. As they drove back to the academy in the evening, Zorath felt a profound shift in his perception of humanity. It wasn't just the advanced military tactics or the rigorous physical training that made humans formidable. It was their fierce dedication to their community and culture, their unyielding spirit in the face of challenges, and their capacity to find hope and joy even in small, everyday moments. This cultural immersion gave Zorath a new understanding of what he had observed at the academy. It wasn't just about training soldiers, it was about protecting a way of life, a vibrant, deeply interconnected society that thrived on diversity and resilience. The realization added another layer to his growing apprehension, not just of the human capability for warfare, but of their profound reasons to fight with everything they had. The following morning at Westridge Military Academy, General Avery took Commander Zorath to a facility rarely shown to outsiders, the Advanced Weapons Research and Development Center. Today, you will see some of the cutting-edge technologies that are currently in prototype stages here at the Academy, she explained, her voice betraying a hint of pride. These are innovations that may soon redefine battlefield tactics. As they entered the high-security building, Zorath noted the stark contrast between the historical buildings of the Academy and this ultra-modern facility. Inside, the air was charged with a palpable sense of innovation and urgency. Researchers and military engineers moved between labs and testing grounds, their work contributing to the next generation of military hardware. The first demonstration was a new type of drone, designed for stealth and adaptability in various environments. The drone was capable of evading radar detection, integrating into hostile environments, and executing complex reconnaissance missions without human guidance. Watching the drone effortlessly navigate a simulated forest underbrush and then ascend to seamlessly blend into the cloudy sky above, Zorath felt a twinge of concern about the level of autonomy these machines possessed. Next, they were shown a new lightweight armor material that could withstand extreme temperatures and pressures, ideal for both space and deep-sea missions. The material was also imbued with a self-healing feature, able to recover from minor damages without human intervention. Zorath was allowed to handle a sample, and he marveled at its lightness and resilience, which far surpassed any material used in the Trellic military. Perhaps the most unsettling for Zorath was the introduction to a prototype directed energy weapon. The device, which was still in its experimental phase, was capable of targeting and neutralizing threats at a distance with high precision. During a live demonstration, the weapon silently disabled a series of drones mid-flight, leaving no trace but a brief flash of light. As they walked through the facility, General Avery explained the philosophy behind these advancements. Our goal is not just to make better weapons, but smarter and more responsible ones. These technologies are designed to minimize collateral damage and ensure that conflicts, should they arise, are resolved as quickly and cleanly as possible. Zorath listened, his thoughts turbulent. The power of these technologies was undeniable, and their potential applications on the battlefield were revolutionary. Yet it was the underlying human creativity and relentless pursuit of innovation that truly unsettled him. Each new weapon or piece of technology not only represented a leap in military capability, but also symbolized the depth of human ingenuity in overcoming limitations. The tour concluded with a visit to a secure conference room where some of the top minds behind these technologies discussed their visions for the future of warfare. It was clear from their conversations that what Zorath had seen was just the tip of the iceberg. The strategic implications of integrating such technologies into a cohesive military doctrine were vast and complex. As they left the facility, Zorath felt a profound sense of disquiet. The advancements he witnessed today were unlike anything in the Trellick arsenal, both in sophistication and ethical considerations. The experience solidified his respect for human military capabilities, but it also deepened his fears about the potential destructiveness of human-led warfare. If humanity ever viewed the Trellick Empire as a threat, these technologies could pose a serious challenge to the safety and stability of his people. After experiencing the advanced technological capabilities of human weaponry, Commander Zorath was ushered into another crucial aspect of military training at Westridge Military Academy: night operations. General Avery was eager to demonstrate the human cadets' proficiency in scenarios where visibility and communication were severely limited, conditions that often favored the tactically superior. As dusk settled over the academy, Zorath and General Avery made their way to a remote training area, designed to simulate various nocturnal combat environments. Night operations require a different set of skills, General Avery explained. Stealth, heightened sensory perception, and effective silent communication are key components that our cadets must master. The area was equipped with observation towers and equipped with advanced night vision equipment for visitors to use. As night fully enveloped the surroundings, Zorath donned a pair of high-definition night vision goggles, turning his gaze towards the field below, where the cadets were beginning their exercise. The scenario was a rescue operation. A unit of cadets had to navigate through a heavily wooded area to locate and extract a hostage held at a mock enemy camp. The challenge was compounded by the need to remain undetected by patrolling enemy guards, all played by other cadets. Zorath watched intently as the team moved with impressive stealth. Their movements were cautious but precise, communicating through hand signals and soft clicks. The coordination displayed under such conditions was unlike anything Zorath had witnessed in his own military, where night operations were often more chaotic and less successful. The human cadets used the cover of darkness to their advantage, employing distraction techniques and non-visual cues to maneuver around enemy patrols. One team created a diversion on the far side of the camp, drawing the guards away, while another team silently freed the hostage. The precision of their execution under such limited visibility was startling. Throughout the operation, Zorath's night vision goggles revealed details that would have been invisible to the naked eye. He could see the expressions of focus on the cadets' faces, the careful placement of their feet to avoid twigs and leaves, and the subtle signs they used to communicate their positions and findings. Once the mission was successfully completed, the teams regrouped and silently moved back to the extraction point, where they were met by instructors for a debrief. Zorath listened as they discussed the operation, pointing out areas of improvement and praising the cadets for their adaptability and teamwork. As they walked back to the academy buildings, General Avery noted Zorath's quiet demeanor. "Night operations are a testament to human ingenuity in overcoming natural disadvantages," she said. "It's not just about seeing in the dark, it's about understanding and controlling the environment around you." That night, as Zorath lay in his quarters, the day's events replayed in his mind. The adeptness with which human cadets handled the complexities of nocturnal warfare was yet another demonstration of their extensive training and adaptability. The combination of advanced night vision technology and the intrinsic human ability to operate effectively in darkness was a potent reminder of the comprehensive nature of human military preparation. Zorath felt a growing recognition that in every aspect of warfare, humans were not only prepared, but excelled, adapting with ease to challenges that would have hindered many others, including his own people. This realization underscored the formidable presence humans could command in any potential interstellar conflict. The next phase of Commander Zorath's visit to Westridge Military Academy involved a deep dive into an aspect of warfare that was both subtle and profound: psychological operations, PSYOPs. General Avery was particularly enthusiastic about showcasing this facet of training, explaining that mastery over the psychological domain could decisively tilt the balance in real-world conflicts. The day began in a lecture hall, where a seasoned PSYOPs expert was addressing a room full of advanced cadets. The walls were lined with posters of historical propaganda, examples of psychological warfare, and case studies demonstrating the effective use of PSYOPs across various conflicts. As you know, the battlefield isn't just physical, it's also mental, the instructor began, pacing slowly in front of a large digital screen displaying examples of misinformation campaigns, morale-boosting efforts, and the strategic use of media. Our objective here is to understand the psyche of our opponents and manipulate it to our advantage. Zorath listened intently as the lecture moved into more nuanced territory, discussing the methods of seeding doubt among enemy ranks, the importance of controlling narratives, and techniques for ensuring the resilience of one's own forces against similar tactics. The depth and sophistication of the strategies discussed were unlike anything in the Trell military's usual operations, which tended to focus more on direct confrontation and less on the subtleties of human emotion and reaction. Following the lecture, the cadets participated in a workshop where they were tasked with crafting a PSYOPs campaign using a hypothetical conflict scenario. Zorath observed groups of cadets brainstorming, their discussions animated and thoughtful as they considered their target audience, the messages they wished to convey, and the mediums best suited for those messages. They utilized psychological profiles, cultural analyses, and historical data to tailor their campaigns, ensuring maximum impact. General Avery invited Zorath to participate in reviewing the cadet projects. One group presented a multi-layered campaign designed to undermine enemy morale by emphasizing the futility of their cause, using targeted broadcasts and social media platforms. Another group focused on bolstering home front support through heroic storytelling and highlighting the sacrifices of soldiers, aimed at sustaining and boosting troop morale and civilian backing. "Impressive," Zorath murmured as the presentations concluded, genuinely taken aback by the cadets' ability to weave psychological threads into the fabric of warfare. "Your cadets are trained to fight wars on fronts that are invisible yet impactful." "Yes, Commander," General Avery replied. "In modern warfare, the mind is as much a battlefield as any piece of land. Winning the psychological war can often preclude the need for physical combat, saving lives and resources." As they left the classroom, Zorath was left pondering the full spectrum of human military training. It wasn't just the physical prowess or the technological advancements that made them formidable. It was also their deep understanding of psychology and their capacity to deploy it as effectively as any weapon in their arsenal. This realization added yet another layer of complexity to his understanding of human capabilities, highlighting a strategic depth that was both admirable and, in equal measure, profoundly unsettling. The thought of facing such a multifaceted adversary brought a new level of concern to Zorath's mission, as he considered the implications for his own people should they ever find themselves opposed by such a tactically sophisticated enemy. The next phase of Commander Zorath's visit to Westridge Military Academy involved a deep dive into an aspect of warfare that was both subtle and profound: psychological operations, PSYOPs. General Avery was particularly enthusiastic about showcasing this facet of training, explaining that mastery over the psychological domain could decisively tilt the balance in real-world conflicts. The day began in a lecture hall, where a seasoned PSYOPs expert was addressing a room full of advanced cadets. The walls were lined with posters of historical propaganda, examples of psychological warfare, and case studies demonstrating the effective use of PSYOPs across various conflicts. "As you know, the battlefield isn't just physical, it's also mental," the instructor began, pacing slowly in front of a large digital screen displaying examples of misinformation campaigns, morale-boosting efforts, and the strategic use of media. "Our objective here is to understand the psyche of our opponents and manipulate it to our advantage." Zorath listened intently as the lecture moved into more nuanced territory, discussing the methods of seeding doubt among enemy ranks, the importance of controlling narratives, and techniques for ensuring the resilience of one's own forces against similar tactics. The depth and sophistication of the strategies discussed were unlike anything in the Trell military's usual operations, which tended to focus more on direct confrontation and less on the subtleties of human emotion and reaction. Following the lecture, the cadets participated in a workshop where they were tasked with crafting a PSYOPs campaign using a hypothetical conflict scenario. Zorath observed groups of cadets brainstorming, their discussions animated and thoughtful as they considered their target audience, the messages they wished to convey, and the mediums best suited for those messages. They utilize psychological profiles, cultural analyses, and historical data to tailor their campaigns, ensuring maximum impact. General Avery invited Zorath to participate in reviewing the cadet projects. One group presented a multi-layered campaign designed to undermine enemy morale by emphasizing the futility of their cause, using targeted broadcasts and social media platforms. Another group focused on bolstering home front support through heroic storytelling and highlighting the sacrifices of soldiers, aimed at sustaining and boosting troop morale and civilian backing. "Impressive," Zorath murmured as the presentations concluded, genuinely taken aback by the cadets' ability to weave psychological threads into the fabric of warfare. "Your cadets are trained to fight wars on fronts that are invisible yet impactful." "Yes, Commander," General Avery replied. "In modern warfare, the mind is as much a battlefield as any piece of land. Winning the psychological war can often preclude the need for physical combat, saving lives and resources." As they left the classroom, Zorath was left pondering the full spectrum of human military training. It wasn't just the physical prowess or the technological advancements that made them formidable. It was also their deep understanding of psychology and their capacity to deploy it as effectively as any weapon in their arsenal. This realization added yet another layer of complexity to his understanding of human capabilities, highlighting a strategic depth that was both admirable and, in equal measure, profoundly unsettling. The thought of facing such a multifaceted adversary brought a new level of concern to Zorath's mission, as he considered the implications for his own people should they ever find themselves opposed by such a tactically sophisticated enemy. After a week filled with intense and revealing insights into human military capabilities and culture, Commander Zorath found himself grappling with a mixture of admiration and trepidation. His final day at Westridge Military Academy was spent in reflection, both personal and professional, as he considered the implications of his visit. General Avery, ever perceptive, suggested they take a walk through the Academy's Memorial Park, a serene space dedicated to honoring the legacy of those who had served and sacrificed in past conflicts. The park, with its rows of statues and plaques amidst quiet groves, provided a contemplative backdrop for their conversation. "As you prepare to leave us, Commander, what are your thoughts?" General Avery asked, her tone both curious and slightly cautious. Zorath paused before a monument depicting a pivotal battle in human history. The figures were frozen in time, each expression capturing a moment of courage and determination. "I came here underestimating human capabilities," he admitted, his voice reflecting his internal conflict. "I leave with a profound respect for your people, not just for your military prowess, but for your resilience, your creativity, and your deep sense of duty." General Avery nodded, understanding the weight of his words. "And does this change your perspective on our place in the galaxy?" "It does," Zorath confessed. "Seeing your cadets in action, understanding the depth of your training and the breadth of your cultural values, it makes me realize how essential it is for our peoples to find common ground, to perhaps one day work together rather than stand apart." The conversation shifted as they continued their walk, with Zorath asking more about human history, the conflicts that shaped their world, and how they envisioned their future in the cosmos. General Avery shared insights into the human desire for peace, tempered by the necessity of being prepared for war. "It's a delicate balance, striving for peace while preparing for war," she said as they stopped before a new section of the park, dedicated to peacekeeping missions. "But it's a balance we must maintain to safeguard the freedoms we hold dear." As the tour concluded and they returned to the main building, Zorath felt a sense of clarity about his mission. His report to the Trell Military Command would need to convey not only the strength and sophistication of human military training, but also the potential for diplomacy and alliance. The thought was daunting, but also filled with a cautious optimism. During his farewell dinner, Zorath addressed the assembly of Academy officials and cadets. He expressed his gratitude and respect, highlighting the importance of understanding and respecting one another's strengths and values in the pursuit of a more peaceful galaxy. His speech, though formal, carried an undercurrent of genuine admiration and a newfound hope for a future where humans and Trellics might stand as allies rather than adversaries. As the evening drew to a close, Zorath prepared for his journey back to the Trellic Empire, his mind heavy with thoughts and his heart unexpectedly moved by his experiences. The visit had changed him in ways he had not anticipated, challenging his preconceptions and inspiring a vision of a future that embraced both the valor and virtues of humanity. On Commander Zorath's final day at Westridge Military Academy, the morning was marked by a formal ceremony in his honor, a gesture of goodwill and mutual respect that was deeply rooted in military tradition. The ceremony was held in the grand auditorium of the Academy, with its vast walls adorned with banners representing various branches of the human military. Cadets and faculty alike were assembled in their dress uniforms, creating a sea of disciplined solemnity and ceremonial grandeur. General Avery stepped up to the podium, her presence commanding the room. Today we bid farewell to a distinguished guest who has shared with us not only his time, but also his perspectives from across the stars. Commander Zorath of the Trellic Empire has observed our training, our culture, and our capabilities. It is our hope that he takes back not just knowledge of our military strengths, but also an understanding of our commitment to peace and our readiness to defend it. As applause filled the room, Zorath approached the podium. The weight of his experiences over the past week had given him much to consider, and now he faced the task of conveying his reflections. "Ladies and gentlemen, cadets of Westridge Academy, and esteemed colleagues," Zorath began, his voice steady yet imbued with emotion. "I arrived here with a mission to understand, a quest driven by both duty and curiosity. What I found was beyond my expectations." He paused, his gaze sweeping over the audience, meeting the eyes of those he had interacted with during his stay. "I have seen your dedication, your resilience, and your innovation. I have witnessed firsthand the spirit and the strategy that you bring to every challenge. But more importantly, I have been privy to your profound commitment to the ideals of honor, duty, and peace." Zorath's speech continued, touching on specific moments of his visit. The intense training exercises, the strategic discussions, and the cultural experiences that had given him insights into the human spirit. "These observations have not only educated me, but have also inspired a deep respect for your people. I leave here today with a heightened awareness of the potential for cooperation between our civilizations. The universe is vast, with many challenges that we might face more effectively together than apart." As the ceremony concluded, there was a sense of camaraderie and hopeful anticipation. Handshakes and solemn nods were exchanged, and Zorath received tokens of appreciation from the Academy, a set of books on human military history, a model of the Academy, and a framed picture of him with General Avery and the cadets. The farewell was not just a ceremonial conclusion, but a bridge toward potential future dialogue and cooperation. As Zorath boarded his craft to return home, the faces of the cadets and the words of General Avery lingered in his mind, reinforcing his resolve to advocate for a future where humans and Trellics might find common cause in the stars. Reflecting on his journey back, Zorath felt a mix of relief and responsibility. The task ahead, to convey the complexities of human military prowess and the potential for diplomatic ties to his own people, was daunting. Yet he felt equipped, not only with data and observations, but with stories and a new understanding that would inform the Trellic Empire's approach to the humans in the years to come. Commander Zorath's return to the Trellic Empire was met with anticipation and high expectations. His mission had been closely monitored from afar, and his insights were eagerly awaited by both the military command and the political leaders of the Empire. As his ship entered Trellic space, the familiar stars of his home system brought both comfort and a heaviness to his heart. Knowing the implications of his report could alter the trajectory of Trellic policy and potentially their future interactions with humanity. Upon landing, Zorath was immediately escorted to the Imperial Command Center, a massive structure at the heart of the Trellic capital. The building was a fortress of information and strategy, bustling with officers and advisors, moving through the halls with purpose and urgency. Zorath was ushered into a large, dimly lit conference room where the High Command awaited. The room was lined with screens displaying various sectors of Trellic space, and a long table dominated the center. As he entered, the room fell into a respectful silence, the weight of the moment palpable in the air. General Karath, the Supreme Commander of the Trellic forces, greeted him with a firm nod. Commander Zorath, your report is awaited. What wisdom do you bring us from the humans? Taking his place at the table, Zorath began his debriefing, his voice calm but carrying a seriousness that matched the gravity of his findings. Honored members of the High Command, my time at the Westridge Military Academy revealed a complex and formidable human military capability. Their training encompasses not just physical and tactical proficiency, but also a deep strategic and psychological understanding of warfare. He paused, choosing his next words with care. However, it is not just their military strength that we must consider, but their cultural depth and commitment to their values. They train to protect a way of life that is vibrant and deeply rooted in a sense of community and responsibility. General Karath leaned forward, his interest piqued. And what of their technologies and strategies? Zorath activated a device, projecting images and videos of the training and technologies he had witnessed. Their advancements in warfare technology are significant, incorporating autonomous drones, advanced weaponry, and strategies that integrate both cyber and psychological warfare. They are prepared not only to defend but to excel in both planetary and interstellar conflict scenarios. The room absorbed every detail, the implications of Zorath's observations not lost on the strategic minds present. After presenting his findings, Zorath offered his recommendations. Given the complexities of human capabilities and their potential for both conflict and cooperation, I advise that we approach with diplomacy and seek to establish channels of communication. We have much to learn from each other, and perhaps much to offer one another. The suggestion sparked a mixture of reactions, some nods of agreement and murmurs of contemplation, while others seemed skeptical of any form of alliance with a previously unknown species. General Karath finally broke the silence. Your counsel is wise, Zorath. We shall consider these findings carefully and deliberate on our next steps. The prospect of peace and mutual growth with humanity presents a new frontier for the Trellic Empire. As the meeting adjourned, Zorath felt a sense of accomplishment, tempered with the responsibility of the new diplomatic path he had proposed. The decisions made in the coming days would shape not only the future of the Trellic Empire, but potentially also their relationship with humanity. Leaving the conference room, Zorath looked up at the stars visible through the massive skylight above. The universe seemed both larger and more intimate than ever before. His journey had changed him, broadened his horizons and understanding, and he hoped it might also change the course of Trellic history towards a more peaceful and cooperative existence in the galaxy.